That's gonna upset some people. Maybe not me, per se. It depends. Okay, am I pro-vaccination? Yes. But like, are you making your kids get vaccinated? Are you making your partner, your parents? Everyone's still a human being. What are you, like, holding them down? That might be excessive. I don't know if I can get behind that. Happy Apple Picking Day! Some really quick reminders for any of our new friends. If you want to transfer your stories to be featured on Am I the Bad Apple, you can send them to my subreddit, r/AmITheBadApple. And as always, just a reminder, we all come from different branches of the apple tree. And what that means is we've all grown up and lived different lives, and because of those different lives and different experiences, we're going to have different perspectives on things. There's going to be things that some people just haven't experienced and don't know about. And that's okay. We're not going to ever villainize somebody for that. We give everyone the same opportunity to hear the other side, think about it, change their opinion, because remember, you're never too old to learn something new and change an opinion about something. That's what growth is. And based on your different experiences and different boundary levels, you also just might not agree with something, and that happens. It's human nature. So without further ado, let's get started with this week's episode of Am I the Bad Apple? Let's go apple picking! Apple number 1. Am I the bad apple for causing a scene at the water park? So a little context before we get into the main story. I can't swim. I just never learned how. My boyfriend, who I love very much, can swim and has known that I can't swim since we started dating. He's tried to teach me on a few occasions, but I was noticeably anxious and hesitant, so we stopped because I was very scared. I don't mind going into more shallow areas of a pool, but anyone who knows me knows that I get very nervous about deep water, anything that I can't stand in, and I don't like when my head is underwater. So with that being said, here's my dilemma. The other day was my birthday, and my boyfriend and I made plans to go to a local amusement park with a built-in water park included. It was a hot day, and my boyfriend been telling me how much he really wanted to go to a water park with me, so we gave it a shot. I was originally hesitant on the idea because I've never been to a water park, and I assumed that all the water slides would empty into a deep, large pool. I found out rather quickly that the deepest all the water in the park was about 3.5 feet deep, at least coming out of the slides, so thankfully I was able to participate in all the activities provided there. After starting out on the climbable slide portion of the water park, we grabbed a couple of inner tubes and hit the lazy river. My boyfriend assured me he would make sure I was safe and that I felt safe. We went around for a couple of laps and I was having a blast just floating along. Somewhere, however, along our 4th or 5th time through the river, my boyfriend started to get a bit rowdy. He started joking about flipping me over while I was in my inner tube, and I remembered laughing, saying, "Absolutely not." He laughed it off and said he wouldn't, but then kept joking about doing it, and I repeatedly told him no every single time. Soon after, my boyfriend threatened to do it again, but actually did it. He flipped me over. I screamed out his name and I fell head first into the water. I was only under the water for a couple of seconds, but I still panicked. I caught myself and rose to the top, and I was pissed. My boyfriend was smiling like an imbecile, and I gave him the death glare. "You're not funny. I told you not to do that how many times, and you still did it. It's not funny." My boyfriend just laughed and told me that I was overreacting. We then got out of the lazy river and he suggested we try a different water slide, but I just threw my inner tube to the side and looked at him with a tone that clearly said, "I'm done with your crap. You can go to a different water slide." He huffed and puffed because I was upset, but honestly, I don't feel bad. I sucked it up and forgot about it eventually because it was still early in the day and I still wanted to enjoy other parts of the park, but I'm still pretty mad over the whole thing. So did I really overreact, or was my reaction justified? Oh no. Okay. How can I phrase this? I've talked a lot in general about pranks that really just cause people like harm emotionally or mentally, I don't understand what's so funny about making someone you care about genuinely afraid or scared or upset or angry, like for the fun of a prank. Like, what's the funny part in that? What amusement do you get from seeing someone you care about in distress? I don't understand that. I've learned that when something is genuinely very important to you, right? Or something really matters, or something is like a genuine fear or whatever, and an individual in your life, whether you're with them or friends with them or whatever, if they are constantly joking about messing with you over it or messing with it, or like, oh, I know you're afraid of being in the water, but I'm gonna put you in the water. That to me is a huge red flag, a huge red flag. And it took me a long time to understand that those kinds of people are not joking. Like, they're joking, but it's not a joke. It's not funny. It's like actually really concerning that they don't care that you're scared about being in the water, right? They don't care how you feel about it. They don't care that you feel safe with them, right? Because he even said, hey, we're going into this lazy river. You're doing good. Don't worry. I'm gonna make sure you're safe and I'm gonna make sure you feel safe. What part of, hey, I'm supposed to be taking care of you and I'm gonna do the thing that's gonna scare you because I think it's funny, like what part of that shows I love you, I care about you, I value you as a person? That's not funny. If someone has a genuine fear about something and you're like joking about putting them in that panic mode, like why do you think that's funny? I would never ever think that someone that I love or care about being in distress would be funny. That to me is that's just gross. And furthermore, like this is your birthday. Why? That's fine if he wants to go to like a water park with you, but why is that what you're doing for your birthday? That's what he wants to do. Why are you doing that for your birthday? That's like a different point altogether. But to me, like genuinely, this whole situation to me would be a huge deal breaker. Because it's bad enough that he did the prank. I hate those things. It's bad enough that he did it and cross that boundary of yours in general, but to not even reflect back and be like, you know what, I shouldn't have done that, I'm sorry. To double down and be like, oh my gosh, I know you said you were scared of this, and I know that I said I would take care of you, and then I specifically didn't, and I made you think that you were in danger for a moment, but like you're totally overreacting. No. You don't get to say, I'm going to be your safe space and then make someone like go out of your way to make them not feel safe. Even if it's for a few seconds, it doesn't matter. In general, you don't get to say, I'm your safe place. I'm gonna be there for you, I'm gonna protect you, and then purposefully make them feel unsafe and be like, well, what are you mad about? That's not how that works. I'm giving good apple, and I think like that would have been it for me. Like the day would have been done. I would reschedule my birthday with other people who aren't going to do that to me, aren't gonna treat me that way, and I would be done with that. Because I've learned, especially in the last year, that the way someone treats you and the boundaries that they edge or cross or whatever, it says a lot about what they think about you and how they respect you. And I think that's non-negotiable, personally. It is what it is. Apple number 2. Am I the bad apple for not calling my daughter a princess? I, 37 male, have 3 daughters, 15, 6, and 5. We'll call my 15-year-old Taylor. I had Taylor with my college girlfriend when we broke up when Taylor was just a baby. We co-parent pretty well together. I think it's an ideal situation. Now that Taylor is older, she comes here when she wants, but primarily stays with her mom since it's closer to her school and her friends. I got married to my now wife 8 years ago when we have my 2 other daughters together. Taylor's always gotten along great with both my wife and her little sisters. Me, my wife, and all 3 girls went to Disney World for a few days. Taylor's always been a huge Belle fan, and the first day at Disney, I had some work to do, so I got up early and got ready and went to the lobby while the girls got dressed. When I came back up to the room, my 2 youngest were dressed in princess gowns and had the whole crowns and everything. My oldest had on what I would describe as a very Belle-themed outfit. When I saw the younger 2, I said, you 2 look just like princesses. My youngest asked, well, what about Taylor? Taylor in the last few years has been over cute pet names. So I just said, I think Taylor's a little too old to be a princess, but she's very pretty. Taylor said thanks, but sounded a little off, and I didn't think anything of it at the time. We had a good day. Taylor was distant with me, but was definitely having fun with my wife and her sisters. I figured I would ask her when we got back to the hotel what was up with her. Well, I then got a long, angry text from my ex-wife saying that Taylor texted her that I called her sisters princesses, but not her, and that I said she was too old to be a princess, and that really hurt her feelings, I guess. I reminded my ex that Taylor hated cute pet names for years now, and my ex said that considering we were at Disney and Taylor was in a belle-themed outfit that I should have thought that maybe she wanted to be a princess for a day. My ex said that I was being an oblivious jerk. I tried to talk to Taylor, but she doesn't want to talk about it and hasn't said much to me, really. My wife thinks that I could have handled the situation better and make it up to Taylor. I don't think assuming that my teenage daughter wouldn't want to be called a princess is me being a jerk. I think it's a pretty reasonable thing for any man to do. So am I the bad apple? Yeah. Yeah, what? I mean, okay, can I see the thought process in your head of like, oh, she doesn't like cute pet names, maybe she's like over the cutesy little girl things? Yeah, I can see that thought process, right? But like, you're at Disney World and she's very clearly dressed up. Even you noticed. You noticed this is a Belle-themed whatever, right? That didn't like, even if it didn't. When your daughter's like, well, what about Taylor? How does she look? Why was the first part necessary? Well, she might be a little old for X, Y, Z. Why did you even need that? Couldn't you just say, oh, she looks beautiful. She looks lovely. Are you Belle's sister? Like, why? You could have even just said, she looks great. Look at you. And you could even ask, are you dressed up as Belle? I thought you didn't like that stuff. You look great. I'm just trying to figure out what you're interested in. This was a really great opportunity for you as a dad to like question. And you said that Taylor doesn't spend a whole lot of time at your home. Okay, so you probably could get to know her better. And it's not your fault that she doesn't spend time at your home. Well, now I'm kind of questioning that a little bit, not gonna lie. But like you said, she spends most of her time with her mom because it's near her school and her friends. Okay, get to know her better. Question, hey, I thought you didn't like this stuff. Am I wrong? Is it just because we're at Disney? I think you look great. I just want to know what you like. Why is that the end of the world? Like, why? And like, okay, you didn't think about it. You messed up. That happens. People do that. Parents do that. Parents especially do that with the kid of the other gender of them. You know what I mean? Like, moms don't always understand the sons and the dads don't always understand the daughters because like we never, moms didn't grow up as a boy. They don't know. Same thing. When it's brought to your attention like, hey, you really hurt her feelings. Why is well, it's not out of the ordinary for me to just assume. Why can't you just like, my bad, I messed up, you look great. Why does it have to be a fight? Like, why does it have to be a battle? You hurt your kids' feelings, period. Like my dad always says there's reasons and results, right? The reasons don't really matter. The result are what people are going to remember. The result is you hurt her feelings. The reasons and the why and the context don't always matter to the people that it impacts, And like, I think that the reasons why are important for identifying like your own character, if that makes sense. But to the person that's feeling hurt, like she's hurt regardless. She's hurt regardless if you had good intentions. She's hurt regardless if you didn't think about it. She's hurt regardless if you just thought she was too old in general. She still got her feelings hurt. So I don't understand why the defensive battle and fight well, this is why it doesn't matter. She still got her feelings hurt. You hurt your daughter's feelings, period. And the fact that like the concern is more about, well, I don't think it was unreasonable to think this instead of, oh shoot, how can I make this up to my daughter because I really messed up and hurt her feelings. Like that's what really seals the deal for me on bad apple instead of a crab apple. Because like if it was just oh, well, you thought you were respecting her boundaries as a young woman, I could go crab apple. But the fact that it was brought to your attention that you made the wrong choice and like now it's all about, well, I think it was fine for me to assume that instead of like, oh shoot, here's what I'm gonna do to make it up to her and here's how I'm gonna apologize and like that's what pushes me over to bad apple instead of crab apple. Because parents are going to make mistakes, they're going to say the wrong things sometimes, that's just inevitable, but it's how you handle those mistakes that a lot of the time seals the deal for crab apple versus good or bad. You know what I mean? Apple number 3. Am I the bad apple for not going to my twin's wedding? I, 24 male, have an identical twin. We're not close, but I at least thought we had a basic mutual respect, but that belief has since been tested. I grew up in a traditional Southern town and only began coming out as gay in college about 5 years ago. It's been slow, especially with family, but since moving to DC in 23 for school and work, I felt a lot more comfortable living authentically. After moving, I met my boyfriend, 26 male, and we've been together for 2 years. Over time, I've introduced him to friends and family when I felt safe. Cut to November of 2024, I was home for the holidays and told my twin and his fiance about my boyfriend. They seemed happy for me. While staying with them, wedding details arose and they asked if I'd bring a date. I said, yeah, if I can, I'd love to bring my boyfriend. My twin had gone to bed at this point and his fiance said, while there are pros and cons, it's up to you if you want to bring him. That to me felt like a green light. My twin constantly deferred to his fiance on decisions, so I didn't think I needed to double check about it. 5 months passed and my boyfriend and I spent $1,300 on travel for flights and hotel and etc, etc, etc. 3 weeks before the wedding, I mentioned on a call with my brother that we were all set. His tone shifted. We? Who's we? I said, me and my boyfriend. He said, oh, is your boyfriend actually coming? I reminded him of the conversation that I had with his fiance, and he said that she said she never gave me permission and accused me of making that entire conversation up. Then they said, we can't allow your boyfriend to come. I mean, we're worried about how dad's side of the family will react to you having a boyfriend there. I offered to call my dad on the spot and he dodged, so I figured he was checking with his fiance. I was invited, supposed to go alone, expected to buy this expensive groomsman matching suit even though I wasn't even in the party, and still smile and show up completely by myself knowing that my boyfriend was uninvited. That's when I snapped. I asked, if I was getting married and I didn't invite your fiance to my wedding, would you still come? He didn't answer, and he actually ended our call after some harsh words. Trying to make things right, I came out to my dad, which I'd been scared to do for years, to explain the situation and try to get a resolution. He was very surprisingly indifferent and even said that them uninviting my boyfriend was extreme and wrong. He said that he would talk to our extended family and make sure it wasn't a problem, and I thought I was removing the main obstacle. Weeks later, my twin called again and now claimed that some of our friends would be weirded out. So I guess the excuse shifted. I just told him, if my boyfriend's not invited, I'm not coming. My brother didn't budge. Here's the kicker. Days later, my dad told me that the fiance admitted that she knew she did give me permission and remembered that conversation, but changed her mind when she remembered who would be there and didn't want it to cause a scene. But of course, she denied this to my twin. Also, one of her bridesmaids is openly gay and brought her girlfriend, but according to the fiance, she's not family, so it's different and won't get the same judgment. I just didn't go. I'm still wondering if I made the wrong call and my absence was noticed. I got so many texts asking where I was and my mom had to explain it repeatedly. So instead of avoiding attention, my absence became the story. Well, my relationship with my twin is dead and now some family ties definitely feel fragile. So part of me wonders if I should have just sucked it up and gone solo just to preserve bonds, but I don't know. Was I the bad apple? I'm going to give a very diplomatic answer and then I'm gonna give like my genuine opinion. I say this in a lot of these kinds of stories, that who you invite to your own wedding is your business and your decision. You just have to know and accept how people are going to react to those decisions, right? And the same thing with vice versa. You going to a wedding is completely your call and your decision. You just have to accept the consequences of like what that means for that relationship based on what you decide. Like it's a two-way street and I stand by that wholeheartedly. I always will. You can invite whoever you want. You cannot invite whoever you want. You can go, you cannot go. That is a personal decision based on how you want relationships to fall moving forwards. That being said, my opinion of this particular situation, it just screams homophobia to me. And it is so odd to me that the bride is fine with her bridesmaid bringing a girlfriend, but not with her brother-in-law? Like that logic doesn't make sense to me. Like I see, not that I agree with it, but I see the reasoning of like, well, the family, you know, they won't know that I'm marrying into a gay family. That's not how that works though, but like, you know what I mean. But like she's in your bridal party. I don't understand that. It just feels gross to me. It would be completely different if they were like, hey, like if this was about the boyfriend personally and like, hey, we think he's toxic, we don't think he's right for you, we think he's abusive to you, like that would be a different story in my opinion. But it's not. Like they specifically said, well, we don't know how that family is going to react to you being gay. And then he went and told them, and the dad was like, oh, okay, I can talk to them, I can make sure it's not a problem. Well, what about our friends? Well, if your friends were that pressed about it, maybe they're not the best friends. If they're that offended that you have a brother-in-law that is gay, maybe they don't need to be there. Maybe they're not as great friends as you think they are. If this, like in my life now, if this happened to me, I would probably still go, specifically because like if it happened to me now, it wouldn't have that homophobic element to it. But if I was the OP in that story, I wouldn't go. Absolutely not. Because like I see you're like, well, should I have gone to save family ties? Well, why do you want to save ties to people who are just gonna blatantly be so rude about who you are? Like, why do you want people like that in your life? Like, I feel like I've said this a lot of times, but throughout my life, I've been such a people pleaser. And especially in the last year and a half, I've been way more of the opinion of, why would I want people in my life who make me feel like this? Why would I want people in my life who do X, Y, Z to me? And I honestly am so much happier with that outlook. You know what I mean? So like that is my advice to you. That's what I got. That's all. If I didn't say it already, good apple for sure. Apple number 4. Am I the bad apple for forcing my family to get vaccinated? My husband and I are expecting our first baby in August. She's an IVF baby, which is maybe making me overly cautious, so I would appreciate others' opinions. My state has had a very high number of whooping cough cases compared to the rest of the country, so I asked all my immediate family and my best friends to get the TDAP vaccine if they want to meet the baby right away or wait 6 weeks to come over. Everyone lives very close by because it's a small town and they all want to come over all the time. My in-laws scheduled their vaccine right away with no problem. My parents are divorced and my dad said he can't wait to meet her, and of course he's gonna get it. My brother and mom are refusing to get the vaccine and said they would rather wait. I'm incredibly hurt by this because they were the first in line to get the COVID vaccine in 2020, and they've never expressed being anti-vax or anything of the sorts. Their reasoning is that they didn't have people do that with their children, so they shouldn't have to do it with mine. Now this is making me wonder if my request is unreasonable. I'm willing to accept that I'm the bad apple, but I already know that anti-vax people are gonna say I am. I really want to hear from pro-vax people. So just let me know if I'm being ridiculous. Am I the bad apple? I'm gonna be honest, I don't know enough about this to know if that's like common or not. And I feel like that's a very, what word am I looking for? It just left my brain. It's not even a hard word to think of. I just, PhD. Responsible isn't very common for people to get. And you're like, well, I really want it, but they didn't get it. No, I'm upset they didn't get it. Then I'm gonna go a little bit more crab apple. Again, even though I would probably act the same way. And I also think that's really responsible to be able to say, oh, I don't know if this is like logically the best thought process. And I would do the same thing, and I would also be a crab apple, in my opinion. And again, I don't know anything about this vaccine. More information about like how common this thing is and when people usually get it and if people usually typically get it, that could change my entire answer. So like maybe we should get like an undecided apple. Should we? Maybe that is responsible to have some kind of apple of like I don't have enough information about this topic to make an opinion. I'm for that. I gotta figure out what that would be. My mom actually designed the good apple and the bad apple. And then like, oh wonderful, what are you guys? Designed the crab apple for me. So I need to see if my mom couldn't do the undecided one. Like I don't even want to call it undecided. I need to think of a name. Because it's not like undecided, I don't know. It's like I don't have enough information to make a decision. What would we call that? What do you guys think? And what would that look like? Now we need to ponder. But for now, until then, I'm gonna go crab apple. Now I'm hesitant because now I feel like I really just don't have enough knowledge on what that vaccine is. I'm nervous I'm gonna say the wrong thing. But I would really love to hear from the parents down in the comments. And like the medical providers, like the nurses and the doctors. How common is this vaccine? Is this something that everybody gets? Like I definitely would love to hear from you guys, because that's gonna shape a lot of my opinion about this one. All right, so in general, I got 2 good apples, a bad apple, and a crab, and I don't want to call it undecided, because if I say undecided, people are gonna run with it, and I'm never gonna get away from that name. A question mark. I would love to know what you guys got. I love to hear your reasonings down in the comments. As always, if you want a chance for your stories to be featured on Am I the Bad Apple, you can send them to my subreddit, r/AmITheBadApple. And for your well wishes today, we got some good ones. It is National Gummy Worm Day. I used to be a gummy worm fiend. National Tapioca Pudding Day. I know some people don't like tapioca pudding. You either love it or you hate it. I love tapioca pudding personally. National I Love Horses Day and National Pet Fire Safety Day. All very good days, all very important days. My mom actually had this sticker. She still has it. I guess she doesn't really need it anymore. But it's like a sticker on her front door, and it's like, in case of fire, like these are the pets that we have that need to come out. But unfortunately, her doggy passed last year. But my brother's dog does go to her house a lot, so maybe it's a good day. Maybe it's a good thing she keeps it up there. And it's just so you know, if there's an emergency, if there's a fire and there are firefighters and you are unconscious and unable to like talk to them, they know to look for an animal. I should actually probably get one of those for my door. Actually, yeah, I'm gonna write that on my to-do list. That feels like a good way to celebrate the day. Which day are you celebrating? Again, I would love to know down in the comments. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I hope you have a great rest of your day and hope to see you all next week. Bye, my lovelies. Mwah.